Hello YouTubers, my name is Lethal Ghost, and this is Tom Clancy's The Division Beta. And this is going to be my impressions of the beta. I'm going to do 2 videos on this. Stick around, hang out, and let's get down to it. The first thing that you'll notice whenever you're playing The Division is that it is pretty. It does have pretty good graphics for the size of the world that it is. But of course, as we know, graphics do not make the game. The gameplay does. So what about the gameplay? It is repetitive. It is nothing new. It is not innovative. Honestly, it's just like any other game. There are a few cool things about it that most games don't have now, which on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it has like drop-in multiplayer. Basically, your friends can join and you can play together. And then right here, I'm showing all of these containers that I'm getting into. This is going to be the bulk of your gameplay, is taking out a few enemies and then going through containers for 5 minutes or so. And every now and then, fate will smile on you, and you'll get a container that looks like this, which typically has a good, or at least decent bit of loot in it. And this one, it just so happened to have a weapon. One thing that I noticed about the beta that really bothered me was it felt like, in reality, you are going through containers more than you are engaging enemies. You will spend far more amount of time looting than you will actually in combat. You will spend a ridiculous amount of time going through containers, and one thing that I noticed was that at the beginning of the beta, the first few hours, there was decent loot most of the time. But after a few hours, containers started to be empty. I mean, different containers, not the same ones. They started to be empty and turning up nothing. The same thing happened in the Dark Zone. The first few hours that I played the Dark Zone, I got some decent loot and was able to extract it and all that. That's a horse of a different color, right? But I noticed that after a few hours in the Dark Zone, I'd go to containers and I would either get nothing or there would be nothing in the containers. So I'm kind of curious about what the replenished time for the loot in these containers is. One thing that really kills the realism for me is that whenever you loot, you get a bottle of water, soda, energy bar, what have you. You can use those to give to civilians in need who are sick or whatever. And whenever you do this, civilians will drop loot. And sometimes they will drop weapons or military gear. How in the hell would a civilian have military weapons or military gear? That does not make any sense to me. Whenever you look at the setting of the game, it is fairly realistic, as in a terrorist organization, which is what I would call them, laced money, paper money, with smallpox and then put it into circulation for Black Friday, causing smallpox epidemic to sweep through New York. That's the setting of the game. But then whenever you have civilians dropping military gear and loot, that's not realistic. And then also, one thing that I really do not like, the sponginess of the enemies. At the very beginning of the beta, this was not so much an issue in the first few hours because most enemies didn't have armor and you could do away with them with maybe half a magazine, alright, so that's not bad. But then later on in the beta, where they started to have armor, which their health just had armor, they didn't have armor. What you're seeing on the screen right now, the enemies actually look like that. And here's another thing that kills the realism. Look at this stupid AI. He's not even shooting at me, he was not even aiming at me. And then look at the teammate in front of me, the green health bar, that is AI. Also, he was on the wrong side of the cover. He was on the cover facing the enemy, so he actually was not in cover. He was completely exposed to the enemy. Anyway, as I was saying, most enemies just have hoodies on, and that's it. They don't have any body armor. They don't have any military-style gear or any of that. But whenever you play further along, you get a little bit higher level, you will start to encounter enemies that have armor. And they're not wearing any, but they have armor. And at this point, it can take 2 magazines to kill some enemies. That's ridiculous. Not only can these enemies' hoodies and jackets take 2 full mags, they can also withstand direct explosions from either a fragmentation grenade or the sticky bomb. What you're seeing on screen right now is called an echo. Basically what it is a pathetic version of the crime scene reconstruction that you've seen in the Arkham series.
What's the matter, Deborah? Never taken a shortcut before?
This particular echo was called Man Takes a Shortcut, and as you can see, somewhat, he crashed through the fences for whatever reason. I'm going to show you a snapshot here from what this... Look at that. Look at that length of fence right there. Why on earth would he have to crash through the fence when he literally could have gone 4 feet the other direction and gone around it? It's things like that that don't make sense and just really kill it for me, and it's very clear that they did not put any care or any thought into making the echoes. And then in the scene right after the echo, I collected an incident report, and it was titled "Rioter Gets a Last Warning." Now, I didn't care about that at all. Maybe if there was more context, maybe you would care about going to get those, but the way that it is, it just seems like, again, something that was added last minute for absolutely no reason. One positive about The Division, though, since I did liken it to the Arkham series, one thing that they did pretty well with was they made the city feel more alive than the Arkham series did. But not by much. That's one thing. You'll be going through the city, and yeah, there will be some random encounters, maybe some random enemies hanging out. And there's definitely more civilians than there were in the Arkham series, of course. But it's still... I still don't believe that this is New York City and that several groups of people are fighting for control of the city. It doesn't make that happen. It doesn't come alive in that way. It really feels that it's on life support. Like, honestly, if the power went out or you pulled the plug for a second to charge your phone, that the world would die. Overall, I think that The Division will be a fun enough game from time to time to hop on with a few of your friends, go through the city, go to the dark zone even, try to get some loot for a couple hours, and that's really gonna be it. If the story for The Division is as poorly slapped together as the echoes and the random encounters and the incident reports seem to be, then I really don't see myself being invested in this game, caring about the characters or caring about the story. But let me know what you guys think. Did you play The Division beta on any platform? Let me know what you liked, let me know what you didn't like, and let me know what you'd like to see added. Thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out. Till next time, shoot straight, check your six, and stay lethal.